Okay, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat petang. Salam Malaysia Madani, salam Maju Johor. Semuanya saya nak ucapkan terima kasih kepada semua yang sudi meluangkan masa untuk mendengar CME kita pada hari inilah. So untuk makluman semua, CME hari ini ialah CME yang siri yang kelima untuk tahun 2026 dengan tajuknya Accelerating HCV Elimination with Short Course DA Therapy yang akan disampaikan oleh Dr. Muhammad Firdaus bin Saleh, iaitu Head of Subspecialty Services for Gastroenterology dan Hepatology daripada Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia. Sebelum kita memula, ingin saya beritahu sedikitlah tentang housekeeping. So untuk sepanjang sesi CME kita pada hari ini, mohon untuk semua peserta dan pendengar untuk memastikan mikrofon dalam keadaan mute lah sepanjang pemutangan, dan kamera adalah digalakkan untuk dibuka lah semasa sesi inilah. Kemudiannya untuk sesi soal jawab, soalan boleh dikemukakan di ruangan chat, and then kita akan pilihlah soalan daripada soalan nantilah. Kemudian kalau ada pertanyaan saya secara langsung, nanti boleh gunakan fungsi yang raise hand tu lah. Kemudiannya untuk pendaftaran dan isi sijil, QR code pendaftaran kehadiran akan diberikan di hujung sesi. Jadinya semua peserta dan pendengar diharapnya dapat kekal lah sehingga akhir sesi supaya dapatkan pendaftaran juga isi sijil. Dan terakhirnya untuk sesi ini mungkin dirakam untuk tujuan dokumentasi lah. Dilarang berkongsi pautan sesi kepada pihak luar tanpa kebenaran penganjur. Okay. Untuk pengenalan speaker pada kita pada hari ini, speaker kita pada hari ini ialah Dr. Muhammad Firdaus bin Saleh. Sekarang ni berkhidmat di Hospital Sultanah Aminah Johor Bahru. Beliau merupakan seorang Head of Gastroenterology dan Hepatology Unit Consultant Physician, Gastroenterologist dan Hepatologist Medical Department HSAJB. Juga merangkap Johor State Head of Gastroenterology dan Hepatology, dan juga Head of Subspecialty Services for Gastroenterology dan Hepatology KKM. Jadinya tanpa mengambil masa yang lama, saya ingin mempersilakan Dr. Muhammad Firdaus bin Saleh untuk meneruskan kita punya CME pada hari ini. Dipersilakan Dr.
Okay, terima kasih kepada Tuan Pengerusi Majlis. Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera, good afternoon, dan also selamat tengah hari kepada semua yang hadir. So first of all, I would like to say thank you for having me. Thank you to the organizers for basically inviting me to give this talk, this insight about hepatitis C. And thank you also, and welcome to all pakar ataupun kaum cepat from the health side, klinik kesihatan side lah, to join this event ataupun seminar ataupun CME this afternoon. So what I'm going to present today is basically is not really very new, and to those who attended I think last month in June, end of June punya bengkel pemantapan hepatitis C in Johor. This is basically a repetition lah. Probably slide tu saya tukar sikit lah. Ada yang slide somewhere dan saya tukar sikit. This is about 8 week punya regime of sofosbuvir and daclatasvir. Okay. Right. So as the introduction, we know that hepatitis C continues to be burden to the world. Estimated that I think in 2015, 2016, WHO estimated that approximately 50 million of world populations are infected with hepatitis C, and approximately also about 1 million of new infections every year, and about 240,000 mortality directly to hepatitis C reported every year. Kalau kita tengok between hepatitis B and hepatitis C, of course hepatitis B itu memang lagi ramai lah, lagi banyak. Kalau hepatitis B world punya populations yang infected by hepatitis B is approximately about 250 million. Kalau tak silap saya, kalau saya tak silap saya, about 250 million. Dengan kalau hepatocellular carcinoma about 80% dia punya original cause itu adalah hepatitis B, kerana hepatitis B itu dia boleh bypass the pathway of having into cirrhosis first before getting into hepatocellular carcinoma. Tapi hepatitis C usually will follow the usual path to hepatocellular carcinoma, iaitu dia kena melalui liver cirrhosis. Dia punya risk of having hepatocellular carcinoma tu slightly low as compared to hepatitis B. So as of Malaysia, so approximately about 1 to 3% Malaysian population estimated to be living with hepatitis C, and that translates into about 380,000 to 400,000 populations, adult population in Malaysia living with chronic hepatitis C. All right. I'm sure you are familiar with this slide actually regarding the notifications of hepatitis C. As we can see that the rates of notifications is increasing, especially when we started treatment of hepatitis C ni using DAA. Actually program hepatitis C ni yang betul-betul kita start kita buat melalui DAA ni start 2016. 2016 we started STORM-C punya trial. STORM-C trial, at the same time kita buat compulsory punya license in 2017, bawa masuk Sofosbuvir, and then STORM-C started. STORM-C dia kita try ubat Daclatasvir, combination of Sofosbuvir, Daclatasvir, because other country dia tak guna Sofosbuvir, Daclatasvir. We are the first one yang kita test Sofosbuvir combination dengan Daclatasvir, and then we are the one yang bawa Daclatasvir ni untuk di-registered dekat WHO, dan sekarang digunakan di beberapa negara lain juga lah selain daripada Malaysia. So we should be proud of ourselves lah. Ubat-ubat Ravidasvir ni basically kita yang membuat kajian dan kita buktikan keberkesanan dia, dan kita yang bawa dia untuk registered dan diterima di beberapa negara. So ikut rekod 2025 notification confirm case tu about 5,500 lah, 5,500 out of yang notification tu dia basically HCV antibody positif lah, about 9,000 yang betul-betul positif, yang ada active infection adalah about 5,000 over. Basically the increase in trend ni kalau kita nak lihat daripada negative side, we would say that apa kita buat ni basically kita buat bagi ubat lagi ramai ni mungkin tak efektif, but actually rather than viewing it from the negative point of view, it actually means that our program is basically getting better, in the sense that patient awareness has improved, patient come forward, doctors punya awareness also improve, doktor pun basically dia screen and so on and so forth, ubat pun basically dah more reachable, more accessible to the public. That's the reason why the notification rate to nampak increasing, and we expect this trend to continue to be increasing for the next few years to come lah. Okay. And then since we started our decentralization, I would say that decentralization is a huge success in eliminations of hepatitis C or viral hepatitis altogether. So everyone is aware about the National Strategic Plan yang in line with WHO punya document ataupun paper in terms of elimination of viral hepatitis, in which by 2030 we aim to diagnose 90% of those yang tak diagnose tu, yang kita estimate tadi about 400,000 to 90% should be diagnosed by 2030. And then 80% should be treated. Yang kita diagnose, 80% should be treated. And then reduce mortality by 65% related to viral hepatitis, including hepatitis C. So since we started decentralization, I would say there is a huge success in the sense that the accessibility to treatment, to screening dah memang meluas. Dan kita tengok sebelum kita era DAA ni, the rate of treatment for hepatitis C is sangat-sangat rendah lah. And then since kita started ni, dia semakin naik. And then kita tengok the pattern also. Initially kita ubat DAA ni hanya digunakan di hospital, and then we started decentralization as pointed out dekat sini. 2019 masih lagi biru yang banyak kan. Biru means dekat hospital, the green means dekat klinik kesihatan. But the pattern tu dah shifted towards the klinik kesihatan now. So the hijau lagi tinggi daripada biru. I ambil Sofosbuvir because combination kita Sofosbuvir, Daclatasvir pun guna Sofosbuvir, Ravidasvir pun guna Sofosbuvir, Belpatasvir pun guna Sofosbuvir. So Sofosbuvir kita tengok dia mewakili semua ubat DAA lah, DAA ni. And then kita tengok the trend tu dah shifted since 2022. Klinik kesihatan dah basically they are treating more than hospital actually, but the treatment coverage remains below elimination punya target. Kita tahu kita punya target national strategic plan tu 90% should be diagnosed, 80% should be treated, and 90% should be done. There will be reduction in incidence, meaning that we need to have some sort of program untuk prevention as well, 90%. And then 65% reduction in mortality. So the gap is not about the availability of the treatment. The gap is that the challenge is the huge challenges still remain dekat getting them. Go and get them, diagnose them, and then put them in the system. Sometimes kita diagnose, lepas tu kita tak buat apa-apa, ataupun kita just bagi appointment, patient hilang macam tu. So how to put them into the system, how to retain them in the system, and how to start treatment until the complete. Kita semua tahu basically hepatitis C ni is not that complicated as compared to hepatitis B. Hepatitis C ni curable. Kita treat, complete treatment, achieve SVR, non-cirrhotic, kita boleh discharge. Unlike hepatitis B yang perlu follow up lifelong, whether it is treated or tak treated, cirrhotic or non-cirrhotic is a lifelong punya affair, lifelong punya follow up, tak boleh discharge. Tapi hepatitis C ni quite straightforward. Tak cirrhotic, complete treatment, discharge back to the community. Okay. So again, one of the factor that we identified why the patients do tak complete treatment and so on, because of salah satunya adalah a long duration of treatment. Actually sebenarnya kalau ikut is not that long pun, 3 bulan. 3 bulan is not that long as compared to before. Kalau before yang menggunakan injection, interferon injection, dia punya rawatan paling kurang adalah 6 months, but usually adalah 1 year. Kalau genotype A tu last time 1 year, genotype C, genotype 3 tu 6 months, dan 1 year tu kadang-kadang boleh extend sampai 1.5 year with a lot of side effect. But now it's 3 months, 3 months and 6 months. But again, even 3 months also we have a lot of adherent issue, compliant to follow up, compliance to ubat and so on, especially yang kita tak bercakap tentang incarcerated punya center siap macam penjara, pusat tahanan, pusat pemulihan dan sebagainya. Still 12 week tu ataupun 3 months still a problem to them. So kita nak break dia punya barrier dekat sini. We try to find the solution, the best possible solution that we can offer them. So we did a study after dia punya tu. This is the journey about hepatitis C elimination program dekat Malaysia ni 2016-2017. Actually kita started Storm C ni 2016 yang kita tested Sofosbuvir and Ravidasvir. Kita include Thailand juga, Storm C itu completed and then published 2021, and then the result of the Storm C2 revealed that this regime, Sofosbuvir, Ravidasvir, is very effective. Dia punya SVR rate dia around 90, more than 95 lah, 97, 98% across the genotype. And it's a pan-genotypic punya ubat. Okay. And then during the analysis of storm C tu, kita dah tengok dah basically, nampak dah dia punya trend. So by 1 bulan dah viral load tu drop so much, dan ada yang not detectable by even by first month. And then second month tu hampir semua dah not detectable. That's why we proceeded with the second clinical trial, which is called EAST trial. EAST trial ni dia compare 12 week versus 8 week for non-cirrhotic. Yang tadi storm C ni, dia just nak tengok efficacy of the new regime, which is sofosbuvir, ravidasvir. So dia guna duration yang sama. For non-cirrhotic 12 week, macam regime-regime yang lain dekat overseas tu. And then for cirrhotic 24 week. And then dia menunjukkan dia efektif lah, this regime. And then for EAST trial, nak tengok sama ada 8 week and 12 week for non-cirrhotic ni comparable ke tak comparable. So we completed, we started 2021, we completed I think 2023, and the result is very promising, which shows that dia punya this combination sofosbuvir ravidasvir 8 week versus 12 week, 8 week is non-inferior, which is the result sama. The result basically sama, comparable. So based on that result also, kita basically dah bawa dan bagi present di merata-rata tempat lah di dunia. Dan kita dah dapat MPRA, kita dah request MPRA, dah dapat MPRA punya approval untuk digunakan di Malaysia dan dah dapat approval tu. So what is EAST trial actually? Like what I mentioned tadi, the primary objective there is to compare the efficacy of the 8-week regime versus 12-week regime of sofosbuvir ravidasvir in non-cirrhotic chronic hepatitis C patient, yang mana kita tengok endpoint dia adalah SVR 12 lah, macam SVR after dekat 12 week of the last dose. And then these are the sites that involved in this trial. 9 public hospitals and also 18 klinik kesihatan. 18 klinik kesihatan, bukannya ke hospital saja. And then the finding is as such. So both 8-week and 12-week showed that the efficacy, the SVR is 93%, both comparable. Ada pihak yang basically persoal dalam storm C 12 week 96%, but why this 93%? Okay, dalam storm C dia punya study tu more control, memang kita control yang ubat apa tu, dos yang expose, treatment expose, treatment tak expose, HIV, non-HIV dan sebagainya. This one is less control, means that orang yang fail pun kita masuk, orang yang cirrhotic pun masuk, orang tak cirrhotic kita tak masuk. Orang yang mainly treatment expose, yang treatment naif, kita masukkan dua-dua juga, dan is comparable 93 and 93% as well dia punya SVR. So this is the one that we bawa paper ni untuk kita present. This one I bawa ke Istanbul masa I think bulan 4 ke bulan 3 something like that. Presented this accepted as poster lah, but again poster also basically is and yeah, this is about the efficacy of the this regime lah, 8-week regime. Dekat sini kita bukannya test efficacy only, adherence also. Kita tengok dekat bar chart dekat bawah tu, yang hijau the first chart dan the orange the second chart tu, dia menunjukkan basically treatment adherence rate. So 8 weeks tu kita tengok even dekat hospital ataupun dekat primary care basically 97-99% dia punya adherence, means that is very good. 8 weeks ni mungkin lebih mudah untuk patient adhere ataupun makan ubat dan sebagainya, adhere to follow up, adhere to clinic, adhere to medication and so on and so forth. Okay. And this is again kita tengok the efficacy tu, kita tengok by median dia punya actually viral load suppression tu 28 days. By 28 days ni kebanyakannya dah suppress dah viral load untuk Sofosbuvir Rabidasvir ni. So by 30 days, by 2 months sudah basically hampir semua dah. Kita boleh katakan dia dah semua dah suppress. So that's why we are confident to use this 8-week regime. Okay. We have got this MPRA punya approval by this letter, and this they have already updated the durations lah. Patients without cirrhosis, Rabida, Sofosbuvir for 8 weeks. This is only true for Sofosbuvir in combination with Rabidasvir sahaja. Tak boleh guna Sofosbuvir dengan Daclatasvir. Sofosbuvir, Daclatasvir still remain 12 weeks for non-cirrhotic, and 24 weeks for cirrhotic. But for Sofosbuvir Rabidasvir, kita boleh guna 8 minggu for non-cirrhotic. Okay. This is again, we tried actually to get the surat punca kuasa DDG daripada DG. Kita tanya bahagian farmasi, DDG bahagian farmasi, adakah kita perlu dapatkan surat DG untuk nak maklumkan, dan kita diberitahu bahawa elok kalau kita dapatkan, dan kalau nak dapatkan surat DG itu lebih menyeluruh lah sebab dia mewakili semua termasuk kesihatan awam dan sebagainya. Dan untuk mendapatkan surat daripada DG dia kena melalui proses-proses lah, terutamanya daripada awal sampai akhir. So ini adalah salah satu proses yang kita terpaksa lalui. Sekejap saya ada phone, saya tak pasti ni pada mana ni. Hello? Ya. Saya tengok okay, this is one of the kita punya proses yang kita buat. Kita dapatkan mahtas. Mahtas tu yang dia akan selidik lah dari segi bukti-bukti dan sebagainya, and the conclusion yang dia bagi tu sangatlah positifnya, iaitu dia kata highly effective lah daripada high level punya case study. Cuma tak ada banyak study lah, memanglah tak ada banyak sebab ubat ni ubat yang kita buat sendirilah, dia tak ada buat study-study di dunia lain kan. This is the surat yang kita minta daripada DDG bahagian farmasi, iaitu Timbalan Ketua Pengarah Bahagian Farmasi, sama ada perlu ke tak surat daripada pengarah atau pengarah kesihatan. Dia maklum balas adalah elok untuk kita dapatkan, tapi melalui proses-proses yang telah saya maksudkan, saya telah maklumkan tadi. Dan di antara prosesnya MPRA kena ada, already ada. And then surat mahtas sesuatu dia ada. And satu lagi, the last one is that to get it listed in the formulary KKM as a 8-week punya regime, and then we are in the process. And according to bahagian farmasi dekat PJ sana, bahagian amalan ke bahagian kawalan dan sebagainya tu, dia orang akan ada meeting bulan 8. So bulan 8 untuk dia akan reset lah. Dan biasanya tak ada apa-apa masalah lah. Lepas tu boleh dikeluarkan surat DG. Alright, ni daripada surat MPRA yang kita, ni surat daripada DDG tadi tu, bawah tu dia ada lampiran. So lampiran ni dia tulis down there, dalam tempoh kelulusan bersyarat tersebut, tempoh rawatan 8 minggu boleh terus dilaksanakan selaras dengan kelulusan bersyarat yang telah diberi oleh PKBD. PKBD ni adalah MPRA lah. Okay. Right. So basically, as compared to standard regime, 12-week durations, 8-week regime itu basically dah actually sangat bagus in term of treatment duration tu, dia akan increase adherence. This one dibuktikan dengan study kita sendiri. 33% of treatment time to less is very significant actually. If you deal with dosis penjara, pusat tahanan, sana sini dan sebagainya. Sometimes if dia discharge like that, jadi kita tak tahu, kita baru je nak mula ubat, atau kita baru je mula ubat dah discharge where about they go also sometimes it's not traceable, it's not easy for us to trace, and dia hilang macam tu saja. So ubat pun tak habis, kita pun tak tahu outcome dan sebagainya. Okay. Right, like I mentioned, Stormzy trial ni untuk nak compare efficacy regime yang kita gunakan, the new regime itu, survey, Rabi-Dasbe itu berkesan ke tidak. Dia berkesan, sangat berkesan dengan ubat-ubat regime yang lain, dan kita dah start guna dah Rabi-Dasbe. I think banyak guna Rabi-Dasbe, terutamanya Sarawak. I can see, if you can see the graph ataupun the data from bahagian farmasi, Sarawak guna paling banyak. I tak tahu Sarawak dapat duit banyak, mungkin dapat bantuan daripada kerajaan negeri dia dan sebagainya, tapi Sarawak guna banyak lah. Tempat-tempat lain pun guna juga, especially for HIV patient, because HIV patient dia orang tak perlu just punya dose macam Daclatas-B. And Daclatas-B 30 mg is much higher in term of price dia as compared to Daclatas-B 60 mg, and kita pun jarang dah beli Daclatas-B yang 30 mg sebab harga dia sangat mahal lah. Okay, so each trial basically to compare 8 week versus 12 week. Okay, so this should be paradigm shift from 12 week to 8 week. So yang Rabi-Dasbe still mahal actually, mahal as compared to Daclatas-B, but I think kalau kita guna banyak-banyak, harga dia akan turun, especially the duration tu kita guna 8 minggu as compared to 12 minggu. So finally kita akan dapat the outcome, ubat tu dengan harga yang murah, much murah kalau kita terus guna, continue to guna, lagi banyak guna, lagi banyak harga dia akan turun, kita jangkakan begitu. And then the duration itulah yang penting, actually banyak membantu. This one, okay, ini notebook dibuat slide macam tu, actually benda ni dah berlaku. We have already shifted dia punya follow up decentralizations to primary care, and it is a very successful punya program lah. So those this you are aware of this lah, of this those yang kena boleh di-treat dekat klinik kesihatan, those yang tak boleh di-treat dekat klinik kesihatan. Even now yang serotik pun dah di-treated dekat klinik kesihatan now, we are aware of that, especially yang those yang susah nak datang. And kita tahu all this hepatitis C especially, they are related to those yang with poor punya social economic punya background, nelayan ataupun dan sebagainya lah, felda dan sebagainya. So very difficult for them to come over. So now klinik kesihatan, we are very grateful to you guys, FMS, klinik kesihatan side dah start treating ataupun memang dah establish dah this program treating. In fact dah yang cirrhotic patient pun dah dah treat dah. Right, so the workflow is very simple, same, similar to those with 8 weeks. So you start, you complete 8 weeks, and then 3 months later or 12 weeks later you check the SBR. You don't need to check SBR 24 pun, you check SBR 12 only. And once the cured, SBR achieved, SBR 12 achieved, not detectable, or less than 15, you can discharge if non-cirrhotic. If cirrhotic, you can refer to us for further follow-up. Right, this is nothing much, basically about the same. What I'm going to say here is going to save a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort. And hepatitis C elimination is achievable. Yes, it is achievable, but the journey to it, we only have 2030 kan, kita punya from National Strategic Plan, the aim is by 2030. We are now about 3-4 years, 4 to 5 years, less than 5 years to 2030. Whether we can achieve it or not, I think we can. We still can achieve. We are still optimistic that we can achieve the target to eliminate hepatitis ni, especially hepatitis C ni by 2030. Hepatitis B tu macam agak susah sikit sebab jumlah patient pun ramai dan dia punya treatment so very complicated actually. Okay, that's about all. Thank you. Any questions you can ask? I can take question.
Okay, terima kasih Dr. Firdaus. So sementara ni, sesiapa yang ada soalan yang ingin tujuan kepada Dr. Firdaus, boleh angkat tangan raise hand. Nanti kita akan bagi laluan lah. Sementara tu, dekat chat kita ada 2 soalan, Doktor. Soalan pertama daripada Klinik Kesihatan Jalan Oya. Soalan ialah, is Daclastave is withdrawn? Is Remdesivir at higher cost comparing to Daclastave?
Sorry, where's the question? Where's the question that I can read the question?
Dekat chat ada 2 soalan.
Okay, in real world clinical practice.
Ada satu lagi dekat atas.
Oh, sedih kat atas.
Sebelum tu ada satu lagi. Bawah sikit. Tu.
Oh,
Kesihatan Jalan Oya.
No, Daclastave, I mean, we can still use Daclastave. We are still using Daclastave actually. Still considered as first line lah, even though we are trying to shift to Remdesivir. Kalau ada 8 minggu, you better use 8 minggu lah. If the stock is not an issue for you, you can start using Remdesivir. Even as a first line also. Daclastave is still available, but 30 mg, I'm not sure. I don't think 30 mg now dah masih ada lagi, sebab I think many centers dah stop buying 30 mg. 30 mg tu lagi mahal. Sebab beli Remdesivir yang tak perlu adjust dose for retroviral patient. So if you have Remdesivir in your punya apa tu reach, within your reach tu, can use Remdesivir. I think banyak tu Remdesivir dekat, even dekat HSA pun ada banyak. Kita pun dah jarang guna, boleh minta dekat HSA also. Minus daripada KK ataupun hospital lain. Is Remdesivir at higher cost compared to Daclastave? Sekarang masih lagi harga dia tinggi. Berapa tinggi tu saya kurang jelas sebab masa sekarang saya tak dapat gambar, tapi saya tahu dia tinggi. Saya pernah tahu dengan detail, tapi saya lupa, tak boleh ingat sekarang. Tapi memang dia lagi mahal lagi. Okay. Question, real world clinical practice patient may occasionally miss one or more doses during the 8-week treatment course. What would you recommend in such situation? Should we simply continue again? It depends. Macam soft Daclastave juga, kalau setakat 1 minggu we just can continue, but more than that I will normally take 1 minggu sajalah maximum. If more than that, probably start a new one, new regime. Some will take sampai lebih 2 minggu, ataupun ada yang kata dekat sebulan pun boleh, tapi makmilah you miss minggu, I mean shouldn't miss minggu lah. You miss minggu betul-betul, you have to start back from the stretch. Okay, would KKM consider using single pill combination? Okay. Kita ada yang single pill combination tu tapi mahal. So kita guna sekarang pun kita saya tak pasti soft Velpa tu dia orang guna dia beli yang separate ataupun yang single pill. Kita guna sekarang untuk rescue lah, untuk yang field treatment, untuk field treatment. Okay. So yang kalau soft Velpa saya rasa mungkin tak available dekat klinik kesihatan at the moment, tapi ada dekat hospital untuk sekarang yang dose yang field treatment. Okay, any other question? Can put in the chat box also, can ask verbally also. So I hope that you guys please use 8 weeks. There are centers, we are collecting data at the moment. This is basically in compliance with NPRA punya syarat lah, because dia bagi kelulusan bersyarat. That syarat is that we provide them any resistant ke, any apa-apa ke dan sebagainya. We are collecting data now. So those yang guna 8 minggu akan di-collect data. Not akan di-collect data lah. There are centers that we already assigned for this punya task. We put it under clinical trial. We call it resolve study, and this resolve study is bukan yang buat study ubat baru ke, duration baru ke, whatsoever. This resolve study is basically meant to collect data only. So data means those yang completed 8 minggu, see how many SBR12 dapat, how many tak achieve dan sebagainya. We will analyze after that. But from previous study we know that the SBR12 rate is actually very good. And we do this data collection to basically as a requirement lah, as per MPRA ini syarat. We are having new CPG on chronic hepatitis B. Recently, Dr. could consider another CME too. Hepatitis B, the CPG is 2022. It's not very new, but I'm not sure about the new. What do you mean by new? Perhaps yang decentralization code. Decentralization is not it's not a CPG lah. It's just a simple guideline on how to do a clinic. Okay, Ken, of course we can organize if anyone want to organize the chronic hepatitis B punya CME also, we can do that as well. Yeah. Hepatitis B ni a bit more complicated lah. Yang PMTCT is slightly lighter because PMTCT tu the duration tu quite short lah, during the duration, within the duration of pregnancy only. But after that tu yang the real one, decentralization to actually lifelong punya effect. And then siapa nak start ubat, siapa tak start ubat, and it's quite complicated actually. Not everybody is indicated for medication for treatment and so on. Then surveillance also quite tricky as well in certain patients. Okay, any other questions?
Okay, ada soalan? Kalau ada soalan boleh tanya dulu.
Saya baca dekat chat box ni lah. Sorry lari topik sedikit. Is it now recommended to order chronic BDNA for chronic BDNA for all chronic B patients in clinic? Ya, boleh. Now boleh dah boleh. Dan kita dah selaraskan dengan bahagian makmal bahagian makmal kementerian, dan dah boleh dihantar Hep B DNA untuk hepatitis B patients yang newly diagnosed. Memang untuk confirmatory test tu dia akan buat and then hantar untuk yang lain-lain lah, termasuk Hep B DNA, antigen, antibody. And based on the protocol, tengoklah kita cadangkan sama ada, biasanya once a year punya Hep B DNA, and that can be sent from klinik kesihatan itself.
Doctor, there are 2 questions in Q&A.
Where is the Q&A? 2 questions in Q&A. Where is Q&A?
Dekat atas tak saya bacakan. Salam Dr. Firdaus, thank you for the talk. I want to ask, let's say a person default after 1 month of soft Ravisdavir, do we need to restart or we check the viral load and decide on treatment?
Okay, like this, kalau basically dia dah completed, for example, more than 1 month lah, almost completed the whole punya regime 2 months, might as well check first lah after 3 months, because actually along the way masa kita Storm C trial pun kita tengok 1 month tu dah suppress banyak dah, half of the patients dah suppress. Maksud dia punya median punya suppression tu adalah 28 days, 1 month. So basically kalau dia more than 1 month or 1 month or more than 1 month, tak cukup seminggu, tak cukup 2 minggu, might as well just wait 12 weeks, you check the viral load first. If not detectable, means cured. Okay, so you need to restart ke apa ke. Tapi less than 1 month, memang you kena buat semula lah. Buat baru, start ubat baru. From day one.
Okay. And then second question, if Hep C with high fibrosis score at KK and suspected cirrhosis, should we start Sofos and Ravisdave first while awaiting TCA gastro?
Okay, if you think that is cirrhotic, kalau fibrotic score ni, yang APRI score FIT4 tu is non-invasive, that is the best that we can guna lah, walaupun basically not to say very accurate ke apa, but it's the best lah modality and diagnosis yang boleh di-practice at klinik kesihatan site. Okay, kalau dia tak high sangat, kalau sebelum ni kita letak more than one refer klinik kesihatan, refer hospital, it's actually more than 1 to between 1 to 1.5 tu bukannya cirrhotic pun. Yang definite cirrhosis adalah more than 2 actually. 1.5 to 2 tu basically high fibrotic score lah. May be cirrhotic, may not be cirrhotic and so on. Tapi more than 2 is cirrhotic. 1.5 to 2 yang APRI score ni probably high cirrhotic, high fibrotic punya score. It's still not cirrhotic actually. In fact, itulah kita letak sedikit dia punya threshold tu sangat rendah untuk memudahkan klinik kesihatan actually in the beginning lah, semua supaya klinik kesihatan punya FMS tak rasa terbeban, tak rasa takut nak what to do and so on and so forth. That's why you put the APRI score, if more than 1 get to hospital and so on, or more than 1.5 get to hospital, actually can start. But if you are in doubt, you can always talk to us, because some patient also, even they more than that, kita akan guide lah, especially yang susah-susah nak datang very far from the hospital, from the lepas tu gastro punya side, I'm sure Sabah Sarawak you have started themselves sebab jauh sangat, not possible for them to travel over to Kuching, to Kota Kinabalu for every patient, even though cirrhotic. In fact dekat Semenanjung pun sama, can always talk to us and then we can get through if basically very difficult for patient to come over.
Doktor, ada soalan satu lagi. If patient fail treatment with 12-week Sofosbuvir plus Daclastave, should we consider Ravidasvir plus Sofosbuvir?
Again.
Okay. If patient fail treatment with 12-week Sofosbuvir plus Daclastave, should we consider Ravidasvir plus Sofosbuvir?
Alright, okay, good question actually, because dalam study kita tu kita tak control macam tu. Kita tak control yang those yang treatment experience atau treatment naif. I guess we can use that, but because the result shows is basically 93% lah, which is equivalent. Tapi kita tak specifically detail out in kita tak control benda tu, means that sepatutnya boleh guna lah untuk sebagai so-called second line, second regime. Even though kalau refer kepada us in hospital ni, we have another regime lah, like I mentioned tu, soft Velpa. Tapi anyway, you can always use and Sofosbuvir punya tu, Sofosbuvir punya Ravidasvir ya, 8 minggu. So majority of those yang fail ni actually still compliant, even though sometimes they said dia makan, actually dia tak makan banyak macam tu ya. Some dia makan, memang dia makan lah, habislah ubat, tapi ada setengah like hospital, we normally give every month TCA. I know that KK pun buat macam tu, tapi I know juga ramai yang bagi terus, kalau 3 bulan dia bagi terus 3 bulan. And patient makan ke tak makan dan sebagainya, susah nak check, kadang-kadang susah nak datang, susah nak check. Hopefully kita as a health punya provider punya ni boleh comply jugalah, kalau boleh every month lah. Unless ada certain memang kita have difficulty for patient to come over, boleh lah bagi terus dan sebagainya. 2 bulan ataupun 3 bulan, tapi sebaiknya sebulan, so that we can really enforce on the compliance, adherence dan semua, dan kita boleh check dia punya tu. Okay. Ada patient yang memang kata dia makan tapi ubat dia dah habis, for some reason dia termakan lebih ke ataupun letak mana dia makan tapi habis dah. Habis, contohnya dah habis 2 minggu, habis berapa lama dan sebagainya, macam tu. ataupun dia tertinggal rumah anak, tapi dia makan lah. Yang ada kat dia makan lah habis. Macam tu. Is food adherence the only reason for failure? Is there any possible resistance? Okay, difficult to answer, but majority is because of poor adherence. Resistance kita tak check. Last time we try to check lah, but then we think that tak economically punya tak viable lah untuk nak check yang resistance. Nak check resistance kita yang sebelum ni yang masa tak silap saya Storm Seeker awal-awal kita check, tapi memang resistance tu memang sangat kurang, sangat rendah, negligible. Tapi sebab kebanyakannya adalah sebab adherence.
Okey, doktor ada masa lagi ke? Ada 1, 2, 3 soalan lagi. Boleh ke?
Boleh.
Okay. So yang pertamanya, doktor, in your personal opinion, which combination can be achieved SVR status effectively?
All yang proven by clinical trial ni, all the reviews, soft ductal tasbih also very good, but soft ductal tasbih kita tengok dia sampai 90 something, 94%, 95% lah, 94-95% sebab soft rabi tasbih if dia sampai 97%. But it is still good. Anything more than 90%, 94-95% is very good actually. Yeah, 8 week also very good. So you can choose actually, but I would suggest that 8 week lah. If you have 8 week shorter duration, why do you want to give longer duration? Longer duration patient susah nak datang, kita pun banyak kerja, and cost lagi, and so on.
Okay. Soalan seterusnya, how should we approach a patient started with DAA, Sofosbuvir and Ravidasvir and noted drop in EGFR after 1 month? Other causes of AKI were ruled out.
How significant is that? How bad is the GFR punya reduction? I think this is not known to be causing any problems to the kidney, any side effect to the kidney, as far as we are concerned. But if you have that issue, just let us know. I'll take I mean, we also want to know further. Kalau memang ada yang you ada macam tu, you feel that you have done all the investigation, still having reduction, you suspect that is due to this drug, this combination, just alert us.
Last question, Doctor, if a patient already treated for previous Hep C but come back with hepatitis symptom with persistent high-risk behavior, should we consider Hep C reinfection? If yes, what further investigation we send Hep C viral load?
Okay, once you have treated a patient Hep C and SVR12, there's no reason for you to repeat unless you believe that patient still practicing whatever risk factor, still exposed to the risk factor, and you believe that they are still macam ada reinfection dan sebagainya, you might want to check back. You don't check antibody lah, antibody positive, you check viral load or antigen. If positive, then positive lah. Means that dia ada lagi aktif, iaitu once you dah achieve SVR12. Okay, tapi if you tak achieve SVR12 from the beginning, memang itu likely treatment failure. Okay.
Okay, Doktor, rasanya dah tak ada soalan dekat question box pun dah tak ada. So, jadinya kepada semua peserta, link kedaharan kita dah sharekan dekat kita punya chat box. So boleh isikan kehadiran tu dan kita akan berikan juga sijil lah. Jadinya terima kasih kepada Dr. Muhammad Firdaus kerana sudi meluangkan masa bersama kami dan menyampaikan ilmu lah tentang DAA ni, Doktor.
Yeah. So sorry again, Ravidasvir ni dia basically dia tak kacau kidney sangat sebab it's not a known side effect of Ravidasvir lah to the kidney, because dia punya metabolize dekat liver, dia excreted pun dekat liver ataupun bile rather than kidney itself. So But if you have basically rule out ada punya kini punya issues, kena ada punya causes, you might want to alert us. Okay. Okay, terima kasih banyak Dr. Irfan and all.
Okey, terima kasih semua.
Okay.